Leeds United are set for a very, very important top-of-the-table clash against Sunderland tonight, and I'll be honest, I'm not feeling too bad about it, but we're going to talk about how Sunderland play, how Leeds United play, and some rough predictions, in addition to how the league looks, predicted lineup, all sorts of stuff. Very thorough preview that I've got in the notes, and I'm just going to say it out now. So first off, we're going to start by looking at how exactly the league looks, and let's be honest, we all want to be at the top of the league. Being at the top of the league would be absolutely fantastic. I've just noticed a typo in my first banner, but Leeds United are 1 point off Sheffield United, who are currently at the very top, which, fine. They've played one more game than us. That's going to happen from time to time. Our job now is get it back. Sunderland currently sits 7 points off Leeds United, which is a very, very healthy gap for us to have, and we could very seriously hurt their promotion push here. If we end up beating them, they're a long distance off second place. They would be 8 points off, I think, because then we would be 2 clear of Sunderland. And that's a hell of a gap to make up when all 4 of the top sides are performing so effectively time and time and time again. But importantly, we don't even need to win to go top. 1 point will have us at the top purely because our goal difference is so strong at the minute. We are so good at creating and scoring chances that all it takes is a boring Burnley-style 0-0. Although, let's be honest, none of us really want that. So let's get into the team news. Leeds are missing 2 players through injury. We don't really need to talk about who, do we? It's Bamford and Boba, because of course it is. Because who else would it be? The rest of the squad is reportedly fine, which is especially important, and that gives us a predicted lineup that sort of makes sense. It's one that picks itself. Picking Lamelier in spite of what happened against Sunderland last time. I'll get into that in a little bit more detail later on. Defensive line in front. Some might make an argument for Pascal Struijk, but I'm going Bogle, Ampadu, Rodon, Firpo, purely because this defensive line is working, and I don't see the need to disrupt it right now. There's been many, many, many games on the bounce where we've not conceded anything. I'm ignoring the one in the FA Cup. That doesn't count. We all know that doesn't count. And I think disrupting that pairing ahead of a match against 4th place that could be very arguably fighting for automatic promotion would be just a bad idea. So that's something that we have to avoid. In midfield, I'm going to go with what looks like it's basically just our home setup now of Tanaka and Rothwell, with Rothwell bringing that progression through the midfield. And in front of that, you've got to go with the reliable group, the group that is just fit and firing right now and going absolutely nuts. James on the right, Aronson down the middle, Solomon up the left. That just makes sense. It's been working for weeks now. It is the deadliest attack that the Championship has seen for a long time, maybe even ever. And it all sits behind Joel Piroux. The little note that I left myself as a sort of, because some banners I just don't read out because some of it is just notes for myself. But the only note that I left on this bit is it just makes sense. You pick the players that have been doing really well, and over the past 3 games, that front line could have had a goal difference of 20. Because it's just been ridiculously good for us as of late. But, as always, we need to remember a game of football isn't just us playing on a pitch against some mannequins. There are some people involved on the other side, specifically Sunderland. So, let's talk a little bit about how Sunderland play. Usually, and out of possession, they play in a 4-2-3-1, which is very, very effective going forwards. But part of the reason it is very effective going forwards is because it often shifts into a 4-1-4-1 instead. Bellingham pushes up to play alongside, I've forgotten the name of the other guy that plays in central attacking midfield for Sunderland, but it'll come to me. It will do. Rig, I think it's Rig. And it just makes everything a little bit more aggressive, which is something that definitely helps them against the teams that are a little bit lower. Imagine what Rothwell does for us, but more attacking, which is interesting because they have a lot of threats across their entire team. So specifically, you look at Bellingham, who is a danger. Look at Enzo Lefebvre, who is a better player than the Championship, let's be honest. Isidore, who has been scoring for fun, and Patrick Roberts, right winger that they signed. I think it was directly from Man City. I can't quite remember, but also a very, very good footballer. And that means that they're very good at chance creation. They are 4th in the league in terms of creating chances behind us at the top with an XG of 60. Then there's a big old gap, and then Coventry, Borough, Leeds. I don't know if I've done Borough with a GH. Sorry about that. But they also keep sides out very, very effectively. Their defence is equally good. So they're fourth for expected goals against behind us, who have the best defence in terms of preventing chances, then Burnley, because obviously, and then Sheffield United. And they are overperforming at both sides of the pitch. They score more than the numbers would suggest they should. They concede less than the numbers suggest that they should, and that means that ultimately they're getting better results than the numbers think they should. Weirdly, so are we, but when it's us, it's fine. When it comes to the weaknesses for Sunderland, because I accept that what I've just said is a little bit spooky, I've just said, look, their attackers are really good and they're defending really well. They do have some weaknesses, though. They've been conceding a lot of goals recently. They've conceded 6 in their last 4, and that's including a clean sheet in their last match. So in the 3 games before that, they conceded twice every single game. So that really solid defence is getting a little bit squishier as of late. We'll see if that Luton match that they played is something that they will be able to keep consistent, but I'm not 100% sure. Another thing that I've got down as a weakness, which is more of a stylistic thing, but I think playing against us is definitely a thing that will make them a little bit worse for wear. They like to play an attacking game. They like to invite transitional play, and that is something that we do better than I think anyone in this division could possibly hope for. When we are able to get a counter going, we will just pull teams apart. We saw that in the match against Coventry, where for some reason Frank Lampard was like, you know what I'll do? I'll play a brave game. And we could have scored 6 or 7. Same against Cardiff, where we did score 7. And I think if they come at us trying to play that type of game, it could go really, really badly for them. And then the third weakness I've got down is there's potentially a bit of an ongoing mentality thing in their side, where if they're coming up against significant issues, there's a little bit of immaturity because they've got a very, very young team. And we're in a position where if we can put them under a lot of stress and strain early on, then we can just keep heaping the pressure on. And eventually, as we saw last season in Leeds United losing in the playoff final, those young minds can break under the pressure. And we got to hope that that's something that we can force to happen on the Sunderland side. So when it comes to what exactly Leeds need to do, one of those players to target has to be Luke O'Nien. He's known as a little bit of a shithouse, yeah, sure, but he's also got a lot of potential head loss in him. If he loses his head, he's going to come flying into a tackle and get himself booked, get himself sent off, and just allow our players to be a little bit more free at that end of the pitch because they know that if he comes flying into another tackle, we're against 10. And you don't want to be a player down if you're playing a transitional game against Leeds United. And that's another thing that we need to do. Get Dan James in behind. Because our most deadly attacks recently have been when Dan James is doing that get through them thing. And then suddenly, one-on-one with the keeper. And it looks like it's a very, very easy chance because it kind of is a very, very easy chance. But it's only an easy chance because he's made that run. He's gotten the through ball. He's pressed and won the ball back. If we can get our wingers behind their back line, because Sirkin plays a very aggressive game, Trey Hume plays a very aggressive game, then we're going to be looking pretty damn fine. And importantly, keep your heads. Avoid stupid errors, because that's the only reason we're not currently top of the table. Because if Illan Meslier catches that ball in the first match against Sunderland, and it did take a funny bounce, let's be honest, but if he catches that ball, we're 2 points better off, and we're still top of the league. And I am feeling very confident, but why am I so confident? There's a good few reasons. Look at what we've done to teams recently. We have pulled them apart limb from limb. And like Cardiff, we're on an unbeaten run. Coventry, we're on an unbeaten run. And we just hammered them. In addition to that, look at how we've been playing at home. Again, Millwall match aside, but outside of that, we've been demolishing teams. And if we're taking both of those into account, if we view it as another match, we'll just be fine. Because if we see it as we're against another championship team, we'll hammer them. Whereas if we see it as it's Sunderland, we need to change our game is what's working so far. So keep doing it. Plus, I'll be honest, the Burnley draw makes this feel far better. The point here will do. I'm not going to complain about that in the slightest if it happens. So when it comes to predictions, I think there's going to be plenty of chances on both sides, but I think with his newfound little bout of confidence, Illan Meslier can very, very effectively redeem himself today. And I hope he does, because that would be absolutely brilliant. I'll be honest, I hope they don't get any shots at all, but they're going to. So I hope Illan Meslier has that redemption. And I am going to go a little bit bold with this one and say Leeds United win. 2-0 says my head. My heart is saying 3 or 4. Because I think if we get that momentum going, it's going to show and we're going to make a mess of them. But as always, that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, pop a like on it. Subscribe if you're not yet. That's always also fantastic. And I will see you later. Also, I've just realised I'm not going to be able to watch this match. I'm goalkeeping myself at the time. So I'm just going to ask my mate to stand behind the net with my phone watching it and let me know what happens. Oh, that'll be stressful. I think that.